Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about the fourth and final story in the Orphan series by V.C. Andrews, and that one is called Raven. So before I get into this whole video, this is going to be a spoiler free video, and this is going to be my own thoughts and feelings regarding this story. So Raven's story, her picture in the window is just there. She is the only Latina character within this whole story. The rest of the characters are white Caucasian, and but Raven is a Latina character, and arguably she has the most hard time throughout this whole book. The rest of the girls kind of have it somewhat okay. Butterfly and Brooke have got all this money spent on them, and Crystal has this kind of nice family background or situation that she's in. But Raven, by far, in my personal humble opinion, has the most hard time throughout this whole book, or in her section of the Orphan series. So Raven, we start off seeing her with her biological mother, who is it's sort of implied that she is a drug user. She likes to have sexual encounters with numerous men. And the father who wanted the son originally, as soon as it turned out that Raven was a girl, he said, no, I don't want anything to actually do with that for some weird reason, and he just left. He doesn't pay any child support or contact Raven whatsoever, or even support Raven's mother, or Raven comes to that. He just disappeared. So Raven's house isn't the tidiest. She lives in a tip. Let's put it bluntly. There's rubbish everywhere. There's mice everywhere. It hasn't been cleaned for many years. And then mother comes back at odd times of the day and night, and Raven, for the most part, has to try to look after herself. So one day her mother has been arrested and sent to prison, and shortly after this, her mother's brother, well, I wouldn't say adopts, but kind of takes Raven to live with him back at his house. Raven's uncle and aunt are both living in the same house, and they have two children. One is called Jennifer, and the other one is called William, I think it is. And the time that Raven spends with her aunt and uncle is the most horrific thing that I've read in a while, and is definitely in this whole Orphan series. Raven's uncle looks down upon his sister and says, right, she's no good, she's a complete disappointment, she's trash, and he absolutely hates her. She thinks that she's a waste of time and money and air, and as a reflection of that, he sees that in Raven. He completely despises her, hates her, mistrusts her, thinks that she will lead boys astray and get pregnant and live a whole mother's life. He is convinced that she's doomed to repeat what happened to her mother, and he does get physical with Raven. He also gets verbally abusive towards her, and at numerous times of this book, he actually physically hits her and punishes her and whacks her and leaves terrible marks and terrible bruises on Raven's body. So Raven's aunt is the kind of polar opposite of the uncle character. She's a very timid, kind of shy person that does stick up for Raven from time to time, but she doesn't really like to go too far. I think that she thinks that, or feels rather, that her husband should be the man of the house and what he says goes, and She's a very timid character. Raven's uncle always tells her that she should help out around the house, and she's more or less a slave. She has to cook and clean and do all the chores. If she doesn't do this, then she's punished for it. And her aunt is always telling her that, "Oh, don't worry, I'll do this." She's a very nice lady, but she doesn't really have any backbone when it comes to sticking up for what she believes is right and standing up to her husband. So the children, I'll speak about William first. He is a introvert. He is extremely shy within this book. I don't even think he even talks that much, even at all, in the house. He's a very smart and intellectual person, and he does have a fascination with building all these fantastic birdhouses, which he shows Raven, and Raven thinks that it's amazing and he should sell them online. But he's been beaten down throughout this whole time in his house by his father, that has convinced him that he's nothing, that he will never amount to anything, that his birdhousing hobby is pointless, and he's just been beaten down throughout the years. So Jennifer, the daughter of this house, is her father's princess. She can get away with murder in this house. She gets away with anything. She picks on Raven. She even lies to her, gets her into trouble. She even makes Raven clean her clothes and demeans her within the household and at school, which I'll get to that setting in a minute. And there's even a point in the story where she's invited to a party, and Jennifer kind of convinces Raven to go, which leaves in kind of a sexual assault, which trigger warning for this book. And I can't really state about how unlikable Jennifer is within this whole story. She even makes fun of Raven constantly on a regular basis. So so Raven as a character, she is looked upon as trash, as someone that is not very important, someone that's eventually going to get pregnant and relive history as her mother. She's always looked down upon at school, which everyone thinks this about her and doesn't really like her because of the situation and the environment she was brought up in. And it doesn't really help the fact that Jennifer doesn't really do anything to stop this. She makes Raven's life at school a living hell. Even when she kind of has a somewhat crush, or she's, well, not really a crush, she hangs around with this boy that has a stutter, a really bad stutter. And everyone, I mean, this boy's not really Mr. Popular at high school. He's always by himself. He's a loner. But when it's got out that Raven spent some time with him, both he and Raven are constantly ridiculed and made fun of. And this boy's even made fun of the fact that he has a stutter. And coming from someone that has a stutter, I don't really think anyone's really made fun of me for having a stutter. I mean, when I stutter in front of people, I can see people when their eyes glaze over and they lose interest because I'm stuttering. That's kind of the most awkward thing. But for having someone that's been made fun of because of something that they cannot control, it was a bit frustrating to read that section, I must admit. But Raven as a character, she's very sweet, and she's very independent. Yes, she's got a mouth on her, and isn't afraid to stick up for her and her friends and what she thinks is right. But she isn't a bad kid. She really isn't. She's just perceived to be bad because of her upbringing. And it just made me think about, because I work in retail, and kids are the worst at my place. I'm constantly thinking about, oh God, what's the parents like? And I'm thinking, well, it must be the situation that they were brought up in, and that's how they've ended up the way that they are. And I was thinking on the way home today, I was thinking that you can't really judge people based on their upbringing. Like people, I mean, may come from like a real um, bad place, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad person. Their upbringing and their environment that they were brought up in doesn't define them. What defines them is themselves and the choices that they make. Yes, I suppose that um, their environment and their upbringing will eventually rub off on them to some degree, but it's not enough to define their characteristics and who they are as a person. Raven finds out that her mother has escaped from prison and that she has gone into rehab but has there's kind of a debate about whether she will stay in rehab or get put into prison again. She's always thinking about, oh, my mother will come back for me, and okay, fair enough, she's not the best mum in the whole wide world, but she's my mum and she's all I've got, and she will come back for me one day. And taking me away and back home. And there is a point in this book where she looks out of her window at at night, and there's this figure. I don't really think it's specified whether it's a male figure or a female figure, but she sees a figure walking underneath a lamppost and looking up at the house that she's living in. And when she goes to investigate it, this character has disappeared, and Raven is convinced that it's her mother coming back. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I mean, I would like to think that she went to the house, looked up at it, and she was so saddened by her life about what choices she's made and the dangers that she's put Raven in, and how miserable she's made her life, that she feels so sad and remorseful about this. But she also comes to the somewhat realization that she is not fit to be a mother, that she's not capable of looking after another human being. And that's a point I also want to make as well, that people are having children way too young. You have children having children in this world, and they aren't ready, they haven't lived life yet, and then experienced life, and then decided to have a child when they were grown up a little bit. And they don't really know the whole responsibilities of that. You also have people having sexual intercourse when they are intoxicated, and a baby is the result of it, and they are thinking, well, okay, well, I don't want anything to do with that, and then the guy leaves or the girl has an abortion. When you have sexual intercourse with someone, you have to think about that there's a possibility that baby is going to be the result of it, and that's going to be your responsibility. So in the end of Raven's story, what happens is events that are happening within the household of her aunt and uncle have become known to the school that Raven goes to, and she is taken out of that whole environment, and she ultimately ends up at the hotel / boarding house that the other girls are at. So yes, the other girls, Butterfly, Raven, Crystal and Brooke, are all together at the end of this book. So I cannot wait to read the last book in the whole series, which is called The Runaways, or Runaways, which I have ordered off of eBay, and it should be coming soon. But I have absolutely loved reading these stories. I can't believe I got this for more or less a free book. It was so cheap, it might as well have been free. But I am so pleased that I picked this book up. I'm so glad that I give it a chance, and I give VC Andrews a chance. And I'm so glad that I went through all these books, regardless whether they're horror or not. I absolutely love these stories and this book. I will be passing it on, and what I'm going to rate Raven's story, I suppose I'll probably give it 5 stars out of 5. It was probably it was definitely the most uncomfortable story out of all 4 of these girls, And I don't know, just it's the one that made me think a bit more about that you shouldn't really judge someone based on what they're wearing, how they speak, their background that they came from. You should judge people for them. You should judge people about what's on the inside, not what you physically see on the outside. So yeah, 5 stars for Raven's story. Probably, no, definitely my favourite story within this whole collection. I'm so pleased that I picked this book up, and when I get my copy of Runaways, which should be here soon, I will be going on to that one as soon as I can, which will have all 4 girls, presumably their time in this whole house and hotel environments. And judging by the title, I presume that they run away from this whole place. But let me know if you have read this book. Let me know if you what did you think about it? What one of the girls' stories is your favourite? So that's been my video, guys. Hopefully you've found it somewhat interesting. If you haven't watched any of my other videos about the other 3 girls, then please check them out. They are relatively close to each other. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you in my next video.